Hello, my name is Kiriath, and today we are just going to do a little cheeky range review for the Solar Auxilia on Forge World. This is a 30k Horus Heresy army, and we're just going to go through these guys. I apologise if I sound a little bit slurry. I've had a migraine for like the last 2 days at this point, and it's starting to really affect my ability to function. But I want to keep busy. I want to keep doing stuff. Excuse you, chair. And looking at nice models always helps with that sort of thing, doesn't it? I don't know if that's true. Painkillers helps, but you know. I'll start off with the tactical command because this is one of my favourite parts of this range. I have to admit I have looked through these guys over and over again. If I were to, if money became no object, I would be like, I'd be all over it. Unfortunately, money is something of an object, and as such, they're good looking models, but boy, they're expensive. I mean, let's have a quick look at the price for the tactical. I mean, this is a £72 squad right here. That is 72 quid. They do look good, though. They do look good. I really like the mix of styles on these guys. You do have some cool, like, sci-fi stuff going on with certain parts of the armour. Things like the helmets, though, are quite heavy, quite industrial. They almost look like welding masks, I guess is what it makes me think of. At the same time, you've got models like the guy with the 2 telescopes there and the big old kind of podium with a bunch of paper going through it. There's lots of like cool mixes between full-on sci-fi, fantasy, and everything in between, really. I mean, you can see that this guy's got those kind of bits of armor plating, and he's got the power pack on the back of the armor. There's an option to have the helmet with like a fold down lens, but he's also got this kind of podium situation going on with like a massive ream of paper going through it. He's just got full on like mechanical telescopes. It's an interesting mix of styles which I really like. They are overall really cool looking models. The cost is a massive factor, though. This is not a cheap army. Even by the standards of 440k, these guys are expensive. They are really expensive. And as I said before, 72 quid for this squad. I mean, they do look really, really good, but they also, I'm pretty sure, like, the price per points for these guys is super up there. Like, really up there. I think it's an exaggeration, but I'm sure I saw at some point someone saying that like paying 70 quid for like a squad with las guns amounting to 100 points was not a great trade. I think that was probably hyperbole, but they're not Space Marines. They are unaugmented humans. They are effectively the precursor of the Imperial Guard. They are not expensive points-wise to field, but they are expensive money-wise to buy, which I was going to say is a shame. It's Forge World. This stuff is always going to be more expensive, but these guys really are costly. I mean, this is a las rifle section for these guys. That is 79 quid right there. So it is pretty expensive. But then you do get a really cool-looking army. Again, I'd say the armour on these is a bit less refined. It's obviously a bit chunkier. It's not quite as decorated as with the Tactical Command. The helmets are a lot more heavy duty and a lot more robust, I think is probably the way to put it. Overall, it's a bit simpler, but a bit heavier looking. But again, they do look really good. They do look really good. I'm only bringing up the price just because this is one of those armies where the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, it looks so nice. And then got excited about the prospect of maybe doing something with it, and then actually looked at how much it cost and immediately went, no, maybe I'm good. Maybe I'm all right. I can probably live without them, right? I think it's a unique take in that it's not Space Marines, but it is armour. This kind of, with things like the Cadians, yes, you do have that kind of flak jacket / kind of like upper body armor going on, but the rest is like fatigues. There's not really much going on in the way of actual body armor for those guys. These guys being like void troopers, they have much more enclosed stuff going on, and it's a really cool mix between the power armor that we know and love and just standard humans. It's not as like ornamented as like Sisters of Battle. It's not as chunky as Space Marine stuff. It's a nice mix between the two. It's something that I'd honestly like to see explored a bit more, because these guys do look good. The kind of twin cables coming out at the bottom of the helmet, going around to the power pack on the back. The lenses being like quite thick and heavy set in the helmet is a cool touch. I really like the joins on the legs and on the arms. So like kind of just round about the knee. I think just below the knee, roughly. About there. And kind of around the forearms, you've got those sections where like the boots obviously seal into the rest of the suit. It's little details like that just look really good on these. So yeah, those guys have got the las rifles. Oh, the storm section with power axes. This is such a cool unit. So we're back to like the single visor across the helmet instead of the two separate lenses. You can see they've got the lights over the shoulders. The axes are, I would suggest, about on par for practicality in terms of weapons that you usually find in 40k and 30k. I mean, we all know that chainswords wouldn't do nothing to most stuff. They would clog immediately and be utterly worthless. There is something about the pose of these, even though this is an axe that's got a relatively small head, but then it's also got a blade around where the handle is, which I don't know how much you would even be able to get away with doing with that part of the blade, which I don't think is even powered. Looking at it, let's give this a quick spin. No, so the blade across the blade across the haft of the axe is not powered. The blade at the top is powered. So that one at the bottom is just metal. So that's not going to do much against most things that you're fighting in 30k, whether it's aliens or other Space Marines, or indeed other Solar Auxilia when, they turn traitor. It's about as impractical as you might expect, but it looks cool, it looks unique, it looks different. Again, that nice bit of detail on the backpacks there. I'm assuming that what we've got is power for the armor, power to keep the seat, the suit sealed, the seat sealed, the suit sealed. God damn! It's a little bit tricky to work out exactly what all of it is, to be totally honest. I think there might be something to do with like all the little cables coming out to different sections of the armor. You've got little pressure gauges on the arms and the legs, which again is a really nice, cool touch. Then you've got the lights off to the side. It does look good. It does look good. I really like the detail of the chain on the cog there as well, on the pack on the back. Again, not entirely sure what that's actually doing, but it looks cool, and that's all that matters. That's the important bit, isn't it? Who cares about the rest of it? Rule of cool trumps every single time. There are some decent poses in here as well. There are some decent poses. If I remember correctly, pretty much all of the infantry was sculpted by like one guy. I can't remember what his name is. Yeah, like all the rivets and stuff over the armor. Just all those little details combined to make something that is really fun and different. These are 46 quid for these 10 guys. Oh man. Okay, flamer section. I love the flamer section. Again, I think the heads are... Yeah, the helmets are different again. I like the variation in the helmets. So these guys, you've got like... You do very much have like a almost like a welding mask sort of situation going on. The visor is slightly different. There's that dip in the top of the helmet. The armor is similar, but it's not the same. Which is another thing that I quite like, those kind of extra little details that kind of split stuff up. It's a good looking unit again. Nice variety of poses for the flamers. It sort of looks like they've got like kind of, what's the word? Flame retardant material kind of over the top of the armor. The back, I think the power packs are pretty much the same. They do look similar. Of course, you've got the tank in the center. I'm assuming Promethium tank for the flame of fuel, which is nice. That's a nice breakdown of what you actually get, to be honest. I don't know. That's not on that page, or that page, or that page. I'd like to see them do that for most of their stuff. Gives you a good indication of what you're getting. So yeah, so you can see the backpacks a little more clearly on here. So similar design. You've still got that kind of double cog on the side, but you've got that big kind of canister for the fuel next to it. It's a good looking unit again. And then there's the storm section, which I believe those are all Volkite weapons for the most part. And again, this is closer, I think, to the las rifle section. They've got the different helmets again. They've got the same helmets as the guys with the power axes. But there is a slight, I think, yeah, there's a slight variation in the armor once again on the legs. And I'm assuming the backpacks are pretty much the same again as well. Yeah, they are, pretty much. I like the power fist on that guy. Looks quality. Looks massive. You could probably deck someone with that. It's overall really solid range of infantry. Really solid. There was another one that was available, which was... he was a medic, like a doctor, but he's not been... I think he was taken out of production a while ago, which is a shame because that was a cool unit. The Ogryn Charonite squad is perfect. It's so good. It's absolutely terrifying for a start. I mean, Ogryn's scary enough as it is. Giving them like a bunch of like huge heavy armor on their back and shoulders, like bulking them up. Got a massive claw in one hand. You got like a big snippy claw in the other hand. The combination of the bladed claw on one and just a bunch of buzzsaw style drill bit things on the other is horrendous. Also, the helmets look absolutely solid. They look dead good. I really, really like this squad. They look really good. The only thing is, for me, those helmets are so well done, and they look so threatening and kind of... I don't know, it just makes them look like complete nutter murderers, that I don't know why you would bother sculpting a face on the other one. Just give them all the helmets. They look scary as hell. Nice thing is, you don't actually have to use the head, which is, I mean, for me, perfect, but... I mean, you're not honestly telling me that the guy's face sticking out looks more intimidating than his face being hidden by the helmet. There's just no way. There's just no way. Absolutely terrifying model. It's so good. Yeah, I love them. Love them! Okay, so, there's also a few tanks. The tanks are, I think, again... really cool. There's the Lehman Russ incinerator that we've got here. So, you know, your standard. I was going to say your standard Lehman Russ chassis. That's not fair. The tracks and the side panels are the same. Did a bit of I can see a bit of mold lineage going on. Just not mold line, a bit of sprue mark off to the side there. We'll ignore that. It's fine. So I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so like the top of the body, the top, back, and turret of the body of the Lehman Russ has been replaced, but the side panels and the underside are plastic as usual. There's a cool style to the turret on this, and it's overall again it just looks a bit beefier. It just looks a bit more heavily armoured. It looks a bit... It's just more to it, I think. Ooh, that's a sizable gap down there. I've never noticed that before. That's not great. I'm going to assume that there is some plastic there that we can't see between the track and the body, because otherwise that is a hefty gap that is just sticking out there. There's got to be something under that, surely, because otherwise that's kind of poor. Can't see it on that side, but you can see it on the other side. Ooh. It is a little bit on that side. It's nowhere near as bad, though. That could just be a poorly fitted top to the tank. It's difficult to tell. Sometimes Forge World kits have horrendous, like, panel gap in them. We're talking, like, use a metric load of putty to fill in the gap and then have to sand it down to make it smooth kind of gaps. Think like the older... Think like the older... some of the older kits from Games Workshop before they properly like just there's like an era. I think the Rhino is a good example. Occasionally the Lehman Russ can be the same. There are some kits that just every now and again you just get a gap, like an annoying gap. It should fit perfectly, it should be flush, you know that it should. You've put another one together like 2 days before, that was fine, so why is this one got like a janky gap in it? It's like that, but worse. So many gaps in my Typhon when I put that together. God, that was terrible. I'm just having bad flashbacks. Let's move on. The Carnarvon tank is a quality vehicle. I really like the look of this. It makes me... It's like the Predator, the Chimera, and the Lehman Russ all had a bit of a baby. Just they all had a bit of a baby. They just like all got together and this was the result. It's got so many different cues from different vehicles. There's a nice slant at the back. Like it kind of curves down the armour. The side sponsons are a bit more graceful than we see on like the Lehman Russ, where you've just got these big kind of angular bits sticking out, a bit more rounded. It's a cool looking tank. It is a cool looking tank. It feels like there's lots of different nods to other vehicles kind of in it, but it's not like a direct copy of any of them. And there is some cool detail in these too. It helps that the way it's been painted for Forge World is really good. So we also have the Solar Auxilia Basilisk / Medusa. It can be either of them. So you got your Basilisk option there, and then you got your Medusa option there. I do like this, but it's never quite had the same kind of... I think I'm too nostalgic about just the standard Basilisk, and I really, really like I believe it's the Armageddon pattern Basilisk that's got the full covering, where the normal Basilisk has just got the shield in the front of it. I like those so much that it looks okay. I do like the changes to the front, I will say. That kind of, that little cockpit area that it's got at the front being slightly angled and a bit more reminiscent of like the Carnarvon and the other tanks that they've got is a nice touch. But overall, it just doesn't have the same visual impact on me as the normal one and the I think it is the Armageddon one. It's not a bad looking vehicle, don't get me wrong. It's not bad looking. It's just I've just got a soft spot for the others, you know. Sometimes like one version of a vehicle will just jump out at you and like that's just the one you like. It's that kind of situation. Looks like there aren't any gaps on this one, which is nice. So we've also got the Aurochs transport. So similar deal to the Carnarvon, of course. Again, it's a cool looking little tank. It is a cool looking little tank. Same chassis, I believe. Gone the same route as the Rhino chassis. Where it's just, you know, you've got the one thing and then you just stick everything else on top of it. But it does look cool. Again, it's got those same nice details. Handy bit of scale as well, which would be nice if that was on every single vehicle they do, but it's not. Of course, that and the Carnarvon are obviously full resin kits, so there's no plastic parts in there, which does... I think that's genuinely something to consider when it comes to things like Horus Heresy in 30k. You've got to be good with messing with resin, because so much of it is just resin. Yes, you can buy, you know, tactical marines and stuff like Mark III and Mark IV armour and stuff, but in plastic, and you've got the Terminators in plastic and stuff too. but a lot of the vehicles that you'll probably want to get are all resin, and it's honestly putting a whole resin vehicle together versus plastic with resin pieces, all full plastic. They're very different animals when you get down to it. And then we've got the Drac armoured transport, which I think is one of the coolest vehicles Forge World does. It's a really good looking vehicle. I really did think to myself, I'm pretty sure this shrinks down massively when you do the 360 view, and it does. Doesn't matter too much, it's not too bad. It does look good though. It really does look good. This is one of those vehicles that it just hit me. Like the first time I saw it, I was like, that looks solid. Again, it's that really nice mix of definitely old, but also there's just some cool little details to it. Lots of rivets going on all over the place. The way the like exhausts are set out at the back, so they're pointing straight out the back, is a nice touch. The big old kind of, it almost looks like heat sinks on the top. I'm not entirely sure what they are. Maybe it's just part of the engine, but the bit sticking out at the back behind the gunner look really cool. I'd go for one. I don't know what I would use it for, but I would definitely grab one if I could. And it is chunky. I mean, next to a Lehman Russ, it's up there. Pretty sizable, also pretty expensive, I seem to remember. Yeah, 87. Actually, that's better than I thought it was. I thought it was 97, so that's actually not quite as bad as I thought. 10 quid cheaper. But if we're talking actually expensive, then we need to talk about the Storm Hammer, which is 168. So you get part of a Bane Blade, and then you just stick guns all over it. That's pretty much what you do. It looks so good, though. You've just got like 3 battle cannons attached to it. I'm pretty sure they're all battle cannons. You've got the weapons out the side as well, like on the kind of sponson area. It looks so good. It looks so good. It's so chunky. And actually, to be fair, there's a lot of resin on this. There's a lot of resin. I mean, a Bane Blade's what, already 95? 85, 95? One or the two. So for the amount of replacement parts you get, it's not terrible. It's not terrible. Your entire central section is replaced with the kind of upgrade pieces. Then you've got the kind of sponsons on the side. Got the turret on the top. It extends it out somewhat as well. It's not terrible. And bits on the back have been replaced as well. I'd say that's not unreasonable. That is not unreasonable. And it is just a really good looking variant of that vehicle. I mean, just look at it. You just want one. You know you do. Don't lie. Everyone does. Oh, looks great. We're gonna leave. No, you know what? Let's go back to the tactical command. They can stay up. I really do like this little range. There's not a huge amount to it. There's not a lot of variety. From what I understand, if I remember correctly, the guy who sculpted all the infantry doesn't work at Forge World anymore, and the guy who sculpted some of the tanks, who did those after the guy who did the infantry left, is also not there anymore. So I don't know what the future of this particular range is going to be like, but the models it has, the kind of unique stuff that it does have, they're really good. They work really well. They look really nice. There's a cool mix of styles. There's a nice bridging of the gap between like Space Marines and standard kind of unarmored humans. They are obviously very expensive for like the points that they cost, which is just one of those things. It's Forge World. It's always going to be expensive anyway, but I think it's even more so for these guys than maybe with some of the other stuff. But it is a very cool looking army. It does look good. Let me know what you think of those in the comments down below. feel free to click all the things. Patreon, video, subscribe, all that stuff. Click it if you like. Don't click it if you don't want to. And of course, there is, as always, an affiliate link for Element Games in the description, which you can use to grab your hobby stuff that you want. They are shipping again, which is nice. It's a nice way to support the channel if you would like to. I leave it in your capable hands. I'll see you for the next one.